What up? This is Zeb, and I'm the host of My Highway Podcast, sponsored by Regions Bank. Thank you for listening today. We have a really good podcast, but I want to take a minute here first and apologize for the delay from our first episode and this one. As most of you know, it's been a crazy time in the world, and we hope that all of you are out there being safe and taking care of yourself. I'm excited to have Mitchell Tenpenny and his manager, Kristen Ashley, with us today on the podcast. Mitchell is a Nashville recording artist signed to Riser House, Columbia, Nashville. He has a platinum certified #1 single called Drunk Me that came off of his debut album, Telling All My Secrets. Mitchell was 2020 CRS's New Faces Artist to Watch. He was Pandora Artist to Watch in 2019, Music Row's Next Big Thing honoree, and the Tennesseans' Next Nashville Stars of 2019. Mitchell has become one of my good friends over the years, as well as Kristen Ashley, and I've got to watch them come up together. And today we're going to talk about their story and how Mitchell grew up in Nashville with his mom and grandma working in the music business. All right, y'all. Thank you for joining today. I'm excited to have y'all here and just talk about your story. When I started this podcast, I really wanted to do it to share people's stories who have worked their butt off to get where they're at. And I want people to know just what Nashville and what the music world is like from both sides. So it's good to have you as the artist and then Kristen here to talk a little bit about the management side as well. But Mitchell, if you just want to start by talking about kind of your story and how you grew up in Nashville.
Yeah, man. I mean, I'm born and raised in Nashville. I grew up in the music industry. My grandmother, she moved from Alabama and became receptionist at Sony Tree at the time, which was a publishing company in Nashville, still is, and ended up working her way all the way up to president and CEO. And about that time, I was a kid. That was just my grandmother, but I was always riding around in her car listening to phone calls, all these executives and artists, and I just became kind of the norm for me. Phone call with Brooks and Dunn or Vince Gill or somebody so crazy at the time, and I'm just like, it didn't register me what was going on. She was just grandmother, but being surrounded by that, I was just, enamored with music. I was just all the time hearing demos. What most people don't know, that songs are written first and then they're demoed and then they have to go through a process. And so I got to hear like songwriters' demos since I was 8 years old, and I like fell in love with that. And I grew up around that. My mom works at Sony as well in admin, so I've just always been surrounded by music since I was a young kid, and I've been doing different versions of it ever since then.
So when do you think knowing you grew up around it, when did you start picking up a guitar or playing an instrument and really realizing, hey, I could sing?
Well, I never really picked up an instrument until probably 12 years old. I went to St. Paul Christian Academy down here in Nashville till that school goes to 6th grade, from pre-K to 6th grade. I graduated there and then went to David Lipscomb. And 7th grade, I met a guy named Jameson Roper, who's one of my best friends ever. And he asked me to come over to his house to play golf. I didn't have a lot of friends at the time, and he knew I played a little golf. So I went over there, and he had a drum kit set up and a piano set up. And I had noodled around on piano a little bit. My uncle used to babysit us, and he'd make us learn like Disney songs before he'd let us go out and play. And we're like, all right, let's learn the song, get out. It was never like something I really enjoyed doing, but I kind of knew how. But that was the first time I ever got to play an instrument while someone else played an instrument. So he started like a beat, and I started playing like on the piano. And I thought that was the coolest thing in the world. I was like, dude, this is so much fun. We went and played golf, came back home. We're like, we got to start a band, obviously. Like that's the natural move when you start playing music with somebody. So we went to school the next day, found our two buddies that kind of played bass and guitar, and we started a band. And I quickly did not want to play piano. I thought guitar was cooler. So my dad had a little Fender signed by Wade Hayes, if you remember who Wade Hayes is back in the day. He had that Old Enough to Know Better, Still Too Young to Care song. He was a family friend, and I had that guitar, and I wiped his autograph off because that wasn't cool, and I went and started learning how to play guitar.
But you played sports a lot too growing up, right?
Yeah, I was very into sports. I mean, that's what I thought I was going to do my whole life. It was sports, all the way down to football, winning a state championship, going to college thinking I was going to play, and then just, I don't know, the drive kind of left me once I got roommates, and I was living by myself, and we always had guitars in our hands, and we were always writing, and I was like, man, this is kind of this is what I want to do. This feels better than waking up at 5 a.m, going to lift and then getting beat up on the field. I'd rather do this. And it just kind of stuck with me from there.
So I'm a song guy by day, and like for me, I'm just curious to know what's like the first song that you truly believed in that you wrote.
Oh man, it's terrible. It's called "Be My Baby." It was really bad. It's like I'm so crazy for you, baby. This is the most cliche thing you could ever sing.
How long ago was that?
Can't you see? Man, it would have been like 12 or 13, somewhere around there.
That's crazy that you remember that far.
Yeah,
back.
and this Jameson Roper, the guy I was talking about, his family came from a touring family, and so they kind of helped us with music. They bought us a recording machine and I remember an old Korg recording machine that went straight to CD, like before the screens were up, before Pro Tools, and we would record these CDs, and we'd go to high school football games, and literally we were the biggest nerds about it. We would like take a CD player with headphones and go around to each kid and like, what do you think of this? What do you think of this song? And it was just like, now looking back on it, I completely forgot about it until telling you this story. That was so stupid to do that. Because everyone's like, yeah, that's cool, because they're nice. But it wasn't cool, and it was very bad songs. Very bad recordings.
Well, with your family being like your grandma and mom working in the music business, did they give you the son treatment, or was it the industry treatment? Were they like, no, this needs work, or everything's good?
That's why I'm very, very grateful I did not get the son treatment. My mom still, if my mom likes a song, I'm like, thank God. Like, like she is very, she's been around it, and I love that. And she's always been that way. My grandmother was always just, do it again. She was, I love it, do it again. She never really gave me, she just wanted me to get in the habit of writing songs. She bought me my first Pro Tools rig and said, look, this is where it's going. You're going to have to learn how to play every instrument. You need to know how to do your own demos. It makes you more valuable when you go to a publishing company if they know you're not going to be spending, $800 to $1,000 on a demo that probably won't ever get cut. And it's like, you can come in with an asset saying, I can do this for free, and here you go. And she knew that, because that was her job. She was the one signing these writers, and she knew, the bottom line and why they couldn't sign people, why they were taking risks on certain people. And that's kind of where it was going. And I was very, very grateful to have that at a young age, and for her to spend the money to buy me. At the time, Pro Tools wasn't what it was, man. It was very expensive. It was very, like, you just didn't get into it. It wasn't just a laptop with everything. You had to buy a whole computer and get all these expensive cards and everything. And it was just nuts. But she invested in me, man, at a young age.
And so would you encourage people like young writers now to do the same, to invest in themselves and really try to learn it all?
Absolutely. And I know everybody doesn't have that, lucky enough to have that a grandmother that bought their gear. Yeah. But once she did that, that was it. I went out and I bought every guitar. I went out and earned money. I went out and bought the plugins that come with the necks. And ever since then, so like, whether you have to invest at some point, whether it's the beginning or after someone gives you an opportunity, you got to, at that point, you got to invest in yourself on everything you do. Yeah. And that's kind of, that was the fire that lit it. Hey, here, I'm going to give you this. And then I took off running with it. That was all I needed. Some people, if it's just whatever, man, hey, you're a great guitar player. That's all I need to hear. Or you're a great singer. Use whatever fuel it is, but use it as motivation, no matter what it is. If someone's going to give you credit for what you're doing or think that you're good, use that fire, because I'm telling you, once you get higher and higher in this industry, you're going to hear it less and less. Yeah. And it's going to be tough. True. So go ahead and fire yourself up early.
True. And Kristen, I know, thank you for coming on here today. I know this is not our norm to sit in front of the microphone and talk about it.
I love this. She's here. I can't wait to hear it.
I know. I feel like I'm more nervous because I know that she's a little nervous, but I just want to dive in and talk about, how did you get to Nashville? Tell your story.
So in high school, I was the friend who always would find new music. I remember it was back when you only had YouTube and you were clicking from song to song trying to find new artists. And so I would burn CDs for all my friends, and I didn't know that like the music industry was even an option, honestly. I was planning to be an orthodontist. And so then in high school, I met a friend who worked in the industry, and I was a big Brantley Gilbert fan, which is amazing. But for my birthday, my mom, it was my 16th birthday, she wanted to surprise all my friends to come up to Nashville to be in his first music video. So we had no idea. We come up here, we end up meeting Joe Jamie, who works at Broken Bow, and then Leah, who worked at Tail Light, and became friends with them. And then over time, Leah started dating Blaine Rhodes, and he was getting off the road with Luke Bryan, and she said that he was starting to work at Warner Chappell. And I was like, what's Warner Chappell? I have no idea. And she was like, a publishing company. And I'm like, well, what's a publishing company? Long story short, I learned that he works with songwriters and gets to find new talent and listen to new songs all day, which I thought was the ultimate dream job. So I ended up meeting him, and then over time he realized that it's, I wasn't in it for the perks. A lot of people think that this job, if you're in it, you go to parties and it's all glamour, and it's not. It's a lot of hard work, and that's just a very small part of it. And so he realized that I really wanted to do this, and he just kind of told me like, hey, come out with me, let's meet these writers. And I got extremely lucky that when I moved to town, even though I went to Belmont and I was in college, I was meeting songwriters and artists who were actually getting record deals, and I was kind of ahead of the curve and not being in the Belmont world. And so then I ended up, Pete Hartung knew that I wanted to work in publishing, and I was still in college. I was about to be a sophomore, and he said, hey, meet Jennifer Johnson, and was like, I think y'all would meet, y'all need to hit it off. And she offered me a job on the spot, which I thought, which if you know her, she's a very, she's driven by her gut and how someone makes her feel. But I just thought, this is crazy. And so ended up, part of me, I was very fortunate that I got a lot of scholarships that gave me a full ride to go to Belmont, which is very unheard of. So half of me was like, well, this is for a reason. God has a plan. This woman is offering you a job. Let's do it. So I took the job, and then it was September 11th, and November 11th, I met Mitchell, which this November will be 5 years ago. And then that's just kind of when Jennifer saw talent in him, and he sent me an email, and we started booking rights. And then.
So at the time, Jennifer, tell everyone where Jennifer was and what company that was.
So she started Song Factory, which had at the time John Party, Dustin Lynch, Ashley McBride. She had just signed, which is crazy because now Ashley is so successful, which is awesome.
And it's their publishing, not record label. So for people that don't know the difference, so all their songwriting credits, she owned all of those.
Yes, and then Dylan Carmichael too was there, and Bart Butler.
Awesome. So y'all actually worked together. Y'all worked together first on the publishing side, so just helping write songs.
Yeah, I was with Sony ATV. She just, out of the kindness of her heart, and like she said, loves songs, was helping put me in rights and kind of just listening to my songs and giving me feedback.
And what's crazy about that, Mitchell, I don't know if you know, but I have an ag degree. I went to school at an ag school in South Georgia, and so me and Kristen became friends pretty early on when I moved here. I moved here in May of the same year, and it was just like, oh wait, you don't go to Belmont? Okay, well she was about to go, but I got to learn the same way. I didn't know there was a whole world on the music side that was actual industry. So that's really cool just to hear the story and know.
Too, it was really awesome that my friend group was not Mitchell's friend group. So like Thomas Archer and Alex Klein and all these people that I had met, I got to kind of bring into his world, which was super awesome.
Yeah.
Which is what Nashville is all about. It's like everyone comes with their groups, and you can write amazing stuff and have amazing things happen, but it takes other people that know other groups that. And that's the thing. You don't always blend with people. That's what it takes a smart person to think, hey, I know these two completely separate human beings, and I'm going to put them in the room in the most awkward situation in the world and say, write a song. Like, it's the most awkward thing in the world when you walk in not knowing someone, and you're supposed to be completely vulnerable to someone you've never met in your life and write a song. Like, that's a weird thing that, like, some people don't get about co-writing.
And like, it's putting trust. It's putting trust into people that you work with, to believe that. And I think sometimes some of the writers, on these songs aren't the best of friends outside of the writing room, but they hit it off with each other, and
for some
they make
reason,
great
there's magic there.
Yeah. So talk a little bit about where you, from a writer to where you are now, like signing a record deal, how you and Kristen kind of move forward with that, and just kind of the timeline there.
Yeah, again, it's crazy. I wanted to be a songwriter at that point. I'd been in bands. I'd been in a hardcore screaming band. I was the drummer. I did that. Then everyone went to college, and now it was just me and my guitar. My band was gone, and so I wanted to be a writer. That's my goal. I wanted cuts. I wanted to be on the radio, someone cutting my song.
Yeah.
And that was the goal. And I was going to MTSU for college, and I'd come home every weekend to my studio in Nashville and write and try to book rights. And that was the goal. And then I was working construction because I didn't have a publishing deal. I didn't have any money, so I was working construction, and the guy I was working construction with, he was producing a record by a girl named Casey Weston, who was on The Voice. And he's like, hey, Larry Stewart from Restless Heart is singing harmonies for this girl, but we kind of want a younger thing. You said you sing. I just kind of mentioned it up in the rafters one day. I sing and play, whatever. He said, come over to the studio and try it out. And I was like, all right. So after we got done, I wiped drywall dust off me. I went over there and I sung on this record. And he was like, he pulled me aside afterwards and he's like, man, I got a buddy out in California that I built a studio for that always said, if you find someone in Nashville that you think's cool, fly him out here. Let me meet him. I'm interested in maybe starting something. And I've never been to California in my life, never really gone anywhere. This dude flies me out there. I meet him. He is one of the coolest guys I've ever met in the world. His name's Matt Swanson. He sets up a showcase for me in his house in Turlock, California, close to Modesto. Brings the entire town to it. It was insane. And he gave me this old Martin guitar, a D18, beautiful. You just can't find this thing, and said, play it. And I played a couple songs I'd written, and he's like, well, you want to start a record label together? You want to do something? You want to make a record is what he said.
Casually.
Yeah. And I'm like, he didn't have a record label. He's like, do you want to make a record? I'm like, yeah, I would love to. So we come back to Nashville. We make a record. We hire a bunch of people. And then I hire grassroots promotion. That's all I knew how to do because we wanted to go to radio, which is indicator stations, not top 40 or not, the normal, what am I trying to say? Not the normal station. Indicator are smaller market stations. Yep. And so we went and did that, and then we released a song called Black Crow, and it did really well on that, and Love and Rock and Roll. And I called him, and I was like, man, this is awesome. What can we do? What else can we do here? And at the same time, Sony ATV offered me a publishing deal, but they wouldn't sign me when I was with this weird deal out in California.
Yeah.
And so I called him, and because that was always my dream to be a songwriter. And I called him, and I was like, man, what do I have to do? This is my dream to get out of this. I'll give you 100% of my songs to recoup for you, whatever you need. This is my dream, and they won't do it with it. And he said, buddy, you're good, go. And just let me out. Unrecouped. I mean, a couple $100,000 that he had spent on travel for everything, just said, go. And that was just the craziest thing in the world to me.
Yeah.
And I said, man, if I, meet enough people and this works out the way I wanted to, would you be interested in doing business one day again? He said, give me a call. And that's when I wrote a song. This guy knew Jennifer Johnson. He said, you need to meet this girl. I went over to Song Factory, and that's the day I met Jennifer Johnson and Kristen. And that's the day I decided that I wanted to start a label. I called Matt, and I said, Jennifer Johnson should head this label. Can we fly up and have a conversation? Flew up the next week, had a conversation, came back. We had a label.
So how long was the time frame from when you got your first publishing deal at Sony ATV to starting the label with Jennifer and Kristen? How long was that?
Maybe a year and a half, 2 years.
It was 2016 this summer that I remember y'all were. Yeah, we were trying to figure out how do you start a record label.
Yeah.
So what do you do?
Yeah, and she's 100% a part. It was just a dream that we were having. I mean, down to the fact that I walked over to the building with Kristen and Jennifer to a building, and she it wasn't for sale. Jennifer just knocked on the door and walked in and was like, we want this place. Whose is it? And we ended up buying the building. And that Matt didn't even come down. He just had faith in us. But
down from the logo to everything. I remember that summer. And so Jennifer was trying to start the label, and that's how I feel like we built our relationship was by you needed a website, a logo, everything. And I was dealing with Mitchell every day. And that's kind of how we formed our friendship.
Yeah, and again for her, completely unpaid. None of us were getting paid doing this. We were using someone else's investment and doing this just out of our own time. I mean, yes, we had an investor, but we were not taking anything from this. She had a job from Song Factory's publishing, but as far as the label and her truly managing me, but not being my manager.
It was never the intentions of me managing Mitchell.
We never had a conversation. She was just good at it, and she was doing it every day, down to my calendar, down to where I needed to be, what we were doing, what was coming in, offers that were coming in that were weird at the time. Anything, she was handling it. And when we finally got the record label formed and we're in it, and then we got an offer to JV with Sony Nashville because of her, and she had brought Sony to a CMA Fest show. And at that point, when all that deal was going down, I pulled her aside and I just said, hey, we need to make this real. Like you're
now or never.
You're my manager, whether you like it or not. You want to you need to get paid for it.
The funniest part about that is like 3 months before that, I remember I was trying to find him a manager because I'm like, I'm not one, so I'm like, we need to find you the best one possible.
We met with some people, and I'm so glad that God does have a plan that I did not end up doing some of those things because I believe I have the best manager in the world, but it happened organically. It happened because she wanted to do it, and then it happened because I have trust in her. I didn't have to just sit down at someone's table. I knew what she could already do.
Well, and it's a bond thing. Like, I think that's the biggest thing is trust because you're speaking for him when he's not here. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted y'all to get on here and talk about it because I got to sit back and kind of watch this, but then also I'm kind of connected to it because I watch how my career has evolved. And like I didn't think I thought I wanted to be a manager, and then I dived into publishing, and now I'm back. I'm able to do some management stuff, but there's just so much, and I was going to ask you to speak on this, Kristen, but there's so much gray area. Talk about how hard it is to navigate through the business as a first-time manager, not really knowing a lot of the right or wrong answers until the moment that it happens.
Well, to be honest with you, that was a huge reason why I wanted to partner with someone because I wanted to try to make as few mistakes as possible for his sake. Because I did have a lot of people telling me, you can do it by yourself. You've been doing it by yourself. Just keep going. And as that might sound great, I am very, very thankful I did not do that. I have a backbone of Haley to be like, hey, here's what I'm thinking. Just help me make the right decision. And she has given me so much direction, and Corin too, them both. I truly made the best decision. And so I think having a mentor and having someone that you can learn from is so important because you never know everything. Every day I'm learning stuff. I'm taking it in.
That's actually one of the things that I always try to make sure I have a mentor, someone that you can lean on. Even, I mean, I'm sure as an artist you have the same thing. Yeah. Is there anyone that you have leaned on a lot as a mentor?
Well, I mean, it's true that she's younger than me, but it's like she's who I go to when it's the tough decisions. Yeah. Like I give her every bit of the weight because I can't do it. Yeah. Like and she figures it out. And I mean, her even doing that when she was partnering with Haley and she was visiting different people, they're part of my management team, but I didn't care. I was like, honestly, who do you click with? Because I know you're still my manager. You're always going to be the one I answer to no matter what. Who are you going to learn the most from, or who's going to make you better? That's what you want. And she I was like, at the end of it, I was like, what do you want? And at that, and that's because I wasn't going to lose her. I knew that was still my manager, and she just wanted, she was just being smart for me and being very selfless about it by partnering with somebody. But it's just, I trust her with everything because I've seen it. Like I've seen from day one, like she was going to do it for no money. And now that we've done it together and we've had some success, it's like, we're here. We're locked in.
But I think a big thing that I've seen with other, songwriters or artists over the time that I've been here is that someone will really believe in you and you won't let them keep believing in you. You're like, oh, I need someone bigger. I need someone who has more experience. And I feel like if you find someone in your life that truly believes in you and is willing to work for nothing or to just help you with ideas or bounce things off, I feel like you need to keep that person in your life. And even if they don't become your manager, they don't become your publisher, like it's just, you need people who believe in you in your life here.
Yeah. That door knocker, I like to call it the person who's like knocking down doors for you out there.
Oh, absolutely.
Telling people, like they might not work with you, but they're telling people about who you are and what you do. And like, have you heard that new Mitchell Tenpenny song? He wrote this last week. I was that guy for a lot of people before I got a job, and it gets crazy. I mean, there's a lot of people out there who are super talented that are writing on their own and continuing to practice and get better that don't have deals. But when it happens, I feel like it kind of happens quick for some people. So talk a little bit about the partnership with Sony and like your first single. When was like the first time that y'all were like, holy shit, this is working?
It was fast because you signed in January.
Yeah, that's what you're saying. It's like when you get the opportunity, you have a small window to make that opportunity work or you're dead. Yeah. And that's when you start freaking out. It's like, oh shit, what do I do now? Like, oh my God, here we go. And we got offered a record deal. And then at that point, I got to go to my investor and figure out how we're going to make this JV work. She's got to go find, she's got to go talk to Sony and kind of be that catalyst between both of us. And like, it was complete chaos that somehow figured itself out. That's hard. I think a lot of success comes from being naive. Yeah. I think when you overthink things and you think you know it, you're going to fail, because I joke about this, but I kind of mean it. This whole town really doesn't know what they're doing. The
it's
whole
true.
town, like
It's true.
down to your label heads, and that's not to be taken wrong.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
in an endearing way. None of us know what we're doing. We're all still kids. We're in the music industry. Down to the oldest person here, we're kids. We're playing with music. We're all trying to figure it out. And so I think there is a sense of patience there if they see that the person they're trying to get or sign really wants it.
And two, I think it's funny looking back because so many people when we started Rise Our House thought that this isn't going to work. But if you all believe in it and work hard, I think we were very naive. We thought, yeah, this is for sure going to work.
Yeah,
like we're going to make it work.
We're going to put out bitches and it's going to work.
I still love the song.
Well, it honestly was one of the greatest decisions we've ever made in my career. And it was a very scary decision. And literally 99% of everyone said, you're idiots, don't do it.
Everyone did.
And we felt like idiots, but we did it. And then we didn't feel like idiots. But it's like, you got to set yourself off in some way. And you got to have a team that's going to back you no matter what. We were willing to literally die on this entire thing that's happening this quick on that song.
Yeah.
Because that was what we were. That's our brand. We're going to be honest. And if it, offends or pisses somebody off, you know what? Don't listen to our music. Like, if we're going to do it, this is who we're going to be. We're going to be honest. And I think that's what latched on to or people latched onto us at the beginning was, okay, that's the kind of music they're going to make. They're just going to tell it how it is. Cool. I haven't heard that in a second. Let's see what else is coming. And, again, that's fast. We hit radio tour honestly before we officially signed the papers.
Yeah.
And we had Drunk Me going to radio. And
within a year, he signed his record deal in January. Drunk Me went in March. And then he had a #1 in December. And in August, we realized we were planning an album. So we put out a full album. I had obviously never done that. And it was crazy to go through that entire thing within 1 year.
Yeah. That's nuts. What was it like the first time you heard people singing back to you? Like when you were playing shows, I'm sure Bitches was out and Drunk Me and some of the other songs. What was the...
It was Lake Shake. It was Lake Shake, the next to Nashville stage. Drunk Me was just broke the 40s maybe 35, something like that. And people were singing back Bitches because they knew it after they heard the first chorus. Yeah. Which was it's amazing anytime they sing lyrics, but it wasn't the same feeling as when I started singing Drunk Me and the first words were being sung back. Yeah. That, I remember looking at my band. We were in a van. We didn't get a hotel because we were like, hey, we'll just sleep. We'll get there a couple hours early, 4 or 5 hours early. We'll just sleep in the van outside the venue at Lake Shake, and we were so dead tired, and we get all our gear up there. There's no one around. There's 7 minutes left till our show starts, and we're like, this just sucks, man, to be honest. It's tough. We've been traveling. We've been doing this. All of a sudden, the entire place fills up in 5 minutes, and that song, when we get to that song, they're singing. I remember looking at the band, like everybody, it was like just one of those moments where it's like, all right, this is why we're doing this. It was very special. Yeah. It really was.
Someone had told me a story about like just the music or entertainment business in general. Like a lot of times you are frustrated or you're like fighting and you're constantly trying to guess what's next and you feel like you're working hard and then like God gives you this little beacon of hope. And I feel like for you, that would have been one of those things. It's like, okay, I could do this for another couple of years if this is going to happen, like
that's exactly what that was. Yeah. And it continues. That's why I have her. She knows I get so hard on myself, and then you start questioning things. You start getting angry. You stop having fun, and you gotta figure out a way to have fun. That's just the nature of the business. It's gonna kill you. So you got to figure out a way to kill it.
And I think that's kind of everyone who has that spirit about them of owning their own thing or running their own thing is that they're harder on themselves than anyone else. Because I know all of us sitting here that way.
Yeah, so absolutely.
I put together this little game. I wanted to play it with y'all to kind of break up the conversation, but it's gonna be 10 questions. But what I want to do is I want Kristen to give what she thinks your answer would be, and you give what Kristen's answer would be.
All right.
So the first one we'll go. I think that y'all probably get this right, but it's the go-to drink at the bar.
For me or for her?
Well, I want to know. Well, both of you answer for each other.
It's tequila shots.
Not a drink, a shot?
Always.
What would be Kristen's?
I don't know. She's different. She didn't drink a lot at the bars anymore, but I don't know, like a vodka soda or a Michelob Ultra or something.
That would have been my guess. Yeah. Favorite color?
Yeah.
Blue for you.
Yeah, baby blue is probably mine. I don't know her favorite color. That's terrible. She wears a lot of neutral colors.
Yeah, I feel like black's her color.
Black to me, yeah. Because she has to know my favorite color because that's what she works at it every day.
Well, I had a feeling she was going to get a lot more right than
this
you.
isn't
So
fair.
this is you're not going to win this one. I don't think.
Bad.
Favorite movie?
Ooh, I wouldn't. I don't know. Like, I would not know your favorite movie.
I wouldn't know yours either.
Well, what
yeah,
is
my
your
favorite show? You probably be like, what? You love The Bachelor.
Yeah, I do.
But I don't know.
I know you like the what is that show? The 90s show or whatever.
That 70s show?
Oh, the 70s show.
yeah.
What is your favorite movie, Mitchell? Do you know?
My favorite movie is The Sandlot.
Yeah, that's a good one.
But it changes because I just really loved The Joker when I saw it. I thought it was really well done.
Yeah.
But I think you got to go with an older movie. What kind of formed your life? I wanted to be on that field.
I'm a
with those
big
boys.
Top Gun fan.
Yeah.
Myself.
Oh yeah, that's great. Yeah.
Do you have one?
I mean, I guess The Notebook.
Yeah.
No, I love The Notebook.
You know,
too.
that just went to, I saw the Netflix thing. It's on Netflix now.
Really?
They just made a post
awesome.
about it. Yep.
That was a good movie.
All right. Favorite candy?
Ooh. I don't know your favorite candy. It's probably, I don't know. Probably ice cream.
Ice cream.
I don't know.
Probably.
Candy. I don't know.
Twizzlers.
I hate Twizzlers. That is like the worst. That's the one candy I can't stand.
I remember seeing them on the bus, and I knew Starburst wasn't you.
That was Elliot's favorite food. No, not mine. I like peanut M&Ms.
Hey, yes.
There
I'm
you
a fan
go.
of that. I think I know the answer to this based on your fan club name, but morning person or night owl?
He's a night owl.
She's a morning person.
Yeah.
For sure.
I'm not 100%. a morning
100%.
person. All right, y'all should know this. Birthdays.
Ooh.
Oh God, what if I get it wrong? August 17th.
Yes, I don't even know. I'm sorry.
You know the month.
I don't even know my. I don't even know my
You
brother.
know the month.
I don't know the month.
Yeah, you do. Remember we said we were going somewhere. Put it together.
Where were we going? Just tell me where we were going.
Remember it was Cinco. Well, that gives it.
Oh yeah, May. May 16th.
That's
Lose
great.
the one.
See, you
May
know this.
6th.
You just forget.
May 6th.
You just forget.
Honestly, I know my brother's birthday and my mom's. It's terrible.
Hey, the only reason he remembers is because it's in his calendar. So then he
Yeah,
can't
well,
forget.
that's smart.
I didn't remember mine, but yes.
All right, how do you drink your coffee? So let's.
She doesn't really drink coffee.
I don't either.
You drink it black, right?
Yeah, I mean, I might put a little sugar in it, but I don't really drink coffee either. Yeah.
I don't think y'all are gonna get this one, but favorite song?
Ever?
Of ours or of ever?
Ever. Well,
His is John Mayer.
Like something John
yeah.
Mayer? Yeah. Slow Dancing in Burning Room is probably one of that. Or Tracy
okay.
Chapman, Fast Car.
Yeah.
Her favorite song? It's tough because she likes like rap songs. Like she loves Nelly, but it's probably, I don't know, it's probably an old Brantley Gilbert song.
Did you?
Not my favorite song ever.
I feel like Nelly was playing when you were in elementary school. How old were you when you?
I remember my aunt showed me Nelly when I was like
Country
4
grammar.
or 5, and I was obsessed.
You remember that?
Yes.
Oh, that's great. All right, favorite sports team?
Yours is, I mean, which time?
She's Auburn.
I feel like I can guess.
I
I mean, you're like Titans or like
Preds.
yeah,
yeah.
Alabama.
Yeah.
For
Yeah, she's
college.
Auburn. I'm Titans, Preds, anything Tennessee.
And then y'all already talked about favorite shows, so there we go. And I had a drinking game planned, but we'll save that for next time we all hang
alcohol, whatever you want to do.
out. All right, so talk about a little bit. What are y'all excited about for the future? I know you just released a song that everybody's jamming to, but what's in the future for Riser House and for your company and for you as an artist? And
Yeah. Well, also with Riser House, we have a publishing company and we have writers that we signed that we've believed in, and they're killing it. Like both will have singles on the chart next week, which is really cool. The two that I'm talking, Michael Whitworth and Dallas Wilson, two of my best friends that I've grown up writing with, that I was able to sign once we had a publishing company.
Yeah.
And so that's awesome. I'm excited about the future of our publishing company. But on top of our stuff, I mean, we're getting to release music now more often, more frequently, which is very important to me, especially in this day and time where it's so fast. You're like a Tinder swipe away from a song, is what I say. Like, and that's hard. Labels don't let everybody do that. And we were able with her, and like convincing them and then us going and doing it, they're going to let us release a lot of music.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And quicker amounts of time. And so I'm really excited about that. That's going to be a lot of fun because that's what it's all about for me. That's why we started this thing, is to release music to the world, to see test songs out, see what people think. And sometimes as artists, you get trapped where you can only release so much. So I'm really excited about that.
Are you working with any other artists on the artist side of the company, or right now is it just y'all are focusing on your stuff?
Well, we have Dylan Carmichael, who we love and is killing it. Just out there working his butt off, man.
Yeah,
and that's what it takes. Yeah, he can sing. She's known him longer than me. He's there because of her and Jennifer. They showed me that stuff at the beginning, and I was like, this dude's amazing. And they brought him in, and he's out there just doing it the right way, hustling, being a good guy. We hired a radio team that's working that record. But he's very traditional country, and unfortunately right now that's not a lot that gets played right now. But he's kind of breaking that through. I mean, he's on the charts now, which is pretty rare for that style these days. So yeah, we're all for him.
Yeah.
You know?
So I'm gonna ask both of you this, one from the management side and one from the artist side. If you could give anyone advice who is in your shoes where you were a couple years ago, what would you tell them? What kind of encouragement or advice would you just give them to be better when they get to where we are?
Yeah. You want to go first?
Yeah, I don't care. Yeah, I mean, it really comes down to, again, like I said, be naive and use that to your advantage, and be a good person. Don't don't become unhumble when you start getting things. It's just music.
It's great.
You're very lucky to do it. The person who just served you food is probably better than you. Like they probably are, and you just got lucky enough, for the stars lined up, and you were able to do it. And now it's your opportunity to take advantage of it. So don't ever take that for granted, and don't be humble about it, because the second you do, this is a small circle of friends in Nashville, and they will quickly forget about you and throw you out of that circle. So be kind to everyone, enjoy the moment when you get it, and be naive.
Yeah, awesome.
I think my biggest thing is don't be scared of opportunities at even smaller companies or artists that you've never heard of, because that's how I got to learn so much. And I remember certain people being like, that company, like, they're so small, you need to work somewhere else or whatever. And I just feel like he told me the best advice, because I was extremely self-conscious about my age, because as you know, managers are a lot older, and I've been really lucky. And he kind of told me one day, he was like, Kristen, at some point, Carrie Edwards, who I look up and respect a lot, was not Carrie Edwards. Like, she was just starting out. She was in publishing. She started managing Luke. And that really took some of the weight off of my shoulders, is that all these awesome people in this industry who are successful at one point weren't, and they had to build their own path. And I think when you kind of remember that, it kind of takes some of the pressure off, and you just work hard, and you eventually get to where you're going.
Yeah, I mean, every company was small, and every person was unknown.
Yeah,
you have to realize that no one just poofed out of thin air a hit songwriter or a hit artist or a label head or a publishing. Like, everyone started with everyone saying no.
Yeah.
And so, like, use that. That's all you should need.
Well, and I feel like putting yourself in uncomfortable situations is a habit that happens here in Nashville, but I think you grow most from that. So it's really cool, and I think it's good advice. Okay, well, thank y'all for coming by today and taking the time. Man. Actually, I came to y'all, so thank you for letting me into your home to talk to you. But just before we go, tell everyone where they can find your stuff, where you're at, and kind of a little bit about your plan.
Yeah, the number 10 Penny on every social network there is, and then Mitchell 10, the number 10 penny.com. I think there's a couple, you can mess it up and it'll still go there because of technology these days. So just type in Mitchell Tenpenny on Google, go to the website if you want there, or follow us on any of the socials.
All right, thank you.
And Kristen's got a social too.
Yeah, give it out, Kristen. What's your social?
It's Kristen Dowling, Dowling.
Sweet. Thank you all again.
Welcome. Thanks,
Cheers, man. Thank you, buddy.